So for anyone who's watching, just bear with me a couple of minutes whilst I try and set my phone up so I can actually see the messages and things, because there we are. Good, so now I should be able to see what your comments as I go. Hello Sylvia, thank you so much for joining me this morning. I'm just going to clear some of the decks in a minute, and then I can come out there. I can now see people's comments, so that's always helpful. So let's pop that out of the way. Okay, cool, and lovely. So it's just before 10 o'clock, so I will wait a few minutes to allow anyone who might want to join us because I thought that might be quite helpful. So a couple of days ago I travelled down to Oundle to create and craft and demonstrated the new Pentart chrome powders, and they're beautiful powders to work with. Oh dear, look at my hair. But I think the 1 hour show limits what you can do, and also I've had a few questions from people, so thought that might be a good idea to go through what I found that you can do with them and show some of the techniques. I'm not intending making a project this morning. It's very much about taking you through some of the techniques that are that might be useful for people, and trying to help sort things out. So hello Anthony, I'm pleased that you could join us this morning. It's only just 10 o'clock, so I'll give it a couple more minutes for people to wake up and see. I know I haven't really given people very much notice, so that's fine because I'm still trying to learn how to use OBS, but I think that I've at least managed to go live this morning, so that's a step in the right direction, and I have my OBS set up. So I'm just going to change to my camera views a little bit, but you put my mugshot in so that you can still see me, and hopefully that will be helpful for everyone. As I say, I've put this project here not because I'm going to make it, but because I needed something for setting up everything. But I also think that it shows quite nicely the range of colours that you can get either straight from the tubs or from colour mixing. So I hope that is helpful for everyone. So I'm going to pop this out of the way, and I've got my demo board, so just bear with me, because I did quite a lot of playing with the products so that we could I could learn how to use them, and so that as crafters we could get as much out of them as absolutely possible. Thank you Lena for joining us, it's very much appreciated. So this box that I've got in front of me now, let's move those distractions out of the way, was actually the piece that inspired the canvas set that was on the channel, with the beautiful Stamperia mould and the concrete modeler powders, and also using some of the chrome powders. And as you can see, they're quite difficult to really pick up just how bright and shiny they are. And I am in a beautifully lit conservatory this morning, and I have a bit of glare from that, but I can't do anything about it at the moment, I'm afraid. So as I say, this is the project that inspired the canvas. So if you bought the kit, liked the canvas, you have used your canvas, and then wondering what else you can do, then obviously you can do the similar sorts of things but adding them on as a box. So I'm going to pop that one out of the way. I've got so much stuff now. So this piece, if I turn it over, is actually resin, and it's been coated with black dipping paint, actually just painted on and they've laid flat. You do need to be careful, you don't want a thick layer, but if you do paint it on, then you will get a beautiful glossy background surface onto which to apply your chrome powders. If you put it on very thick though and just leave it, A, it will puddle in the recesses, and B, it may well crack. So hanging them is definitely better, but you can paint flat surfaces with them, and these are gorgeous. So I've used a mixture of the chrome, the ruby, I've mixed the chrome and the ruby together, I've used some fire gold, I've used the gecko green and the green goddess as well on this piece to get all of this detail. And I think it shows the beauty of this mould, which is a Casa Granada mould from Stamperia, very well. So let's tuck that piece out to the side. And then on air I had some boards with pieces with me. So you can use these powders in lots of different ways. So for here, this one here, I stamped with VersaFine, then added clear embossing powder, but a highly detailed one, and I literally just swiped the powders over the top. So this gives me a foiled stamped image, and it means that you can take your clear embossing powders and actually make them any colour that you want from the range of the chrome powders. So I think that that makes it really versatile. Excuse that, because that's got some of the concrete on it from travelling home. Now within the Pentart range there is a 3D decor pen which gives you a transparent glossy gel. If you pick up the transparent one, I love them in all colours, but this one I've just drawn a squiggle and then wiped the chrome powder over the top, and this is the silver throughout here. Most people, I think, in their craft stash will have a pot of glossy accents, so I just splodged some dots of glossy accents down and then I've swiped the chrome powders over that, so it works with those. Then we've got the glossy gel, which is Pentart medium. It works really well with the heavy body glossy gel, so but not so much with the shiny one, so do get the glossy version if there is an option. And you really do, with this silver chrome powder, get a beautiful chrome effect, but you can still see the texture from the heavy body gel. So do you just have to swipe them over the top? And the answer is no. Here I've used the pouring, mixed them into some pouring glaze. This is the silver, and again you can see as I move the camera it shimmers beautifully, and you can control this by depending on how much of the powder you put into your pouring glaze, so to have it more solid or just a very little hint of things. Good morning, Claire, thank you for joining me this morning. So the next product that I used was the Stamperia Fluid Gloss, and here you can see the chrome effect on that, and also you can mix it in as it's a fluid, and that will work too. And I guess you could probably do the same, to be fair, with the glossy accents. But you do get, as you say, Anthony, if you've got a smooth surface, you get a completely mirror foiled effect without the need for having an expensive foiling machine. So what else did I start to play with? Well, I've played with the dipping powders, obviously, and these are literally, you do what it says on the tin. So you can do this with pretty much any shape you want. Let me get into this, and I shall probably regret this because I shall get covered, and gloves are definitely to be recommended for using this. So let me get rid of that. This is my original pot, so I have done all of my samples with this, and completely done all of my samples with this pot. So although it is a consumable, and if you had decided to do, you know, a whole Christmas tree's worth of decorations, then you would need quite a lot, but you can literally, I have a plastic egg because that's what was lying around. I've stuck with a hot glue gun a cocktail stick in it, so I've got something easy to handle, and literally all you need to do is wriggle, coat, let it drip. And I didn't do this on there deliberately because I know that I will have it everywhere, and the key to this product is to let it drip. I can see I've missed a bit there, so let me just or I've caught the side of my pot as I've pulled it out. So just literally let it drip until it's no longer, if I turn it to at an angle, it'll be difficult to see, won't it, because it's dripping everywhere at the moment. Wait until the steady stream has completely gone. I know it's, you know, it's exhilarating viewing waiting for this to finish dripping, pouring off, but it is a dipping paint and it does pour, and if you just put it straight into something to hold it up in place, all you're going to do is lose all of that extra paint. So it is worth spending the time to just do this and let it wait until it's dripping rather than steady streaming. And it will seem like it takes me forever on here, but actually it'll only be a minute or so while it does that. So it's thank you for joining us, Anita, and I think we've got Sandra, Liz and me Tempio also watching, so that's lovely, because as I say, I didn't really give a lot of people much notice. And you can, I've now got a completely smooth surface and a polystyrene block, and I'm just going to stick that in there, and before I end up covered, pop that out of the way. You see, I knew it would happen. So let me just clear up that mess, because I really don't like a mess. It doesn't help, and the black, as we all know, will promptly get everywhere. So there we are. So what else can we do with them? So if we've got plastic leaves lurking around at home, or plastic flowers, or say pottery ornaments, things like this, you can dunk them in. If they've got something to hang from, that makes life easy, but if you haven't, then stick them onto a wooden stick, dunk that in. I've used hot glue, and of course hot glue, if you heat it up, will melt, and it's easy then to remove them. It just makes it a very controlled process. Dunk them, let the excess drip off, and then pop it upright, and then they're ready to go. So these are moulds from the modeler powder, and remember, if you did get that kit, it's 80 mils of water to 100 mils of the powder. Mix and pour. In a hot environment it sets very quickly. Then cover them with black super gloss paint, of which I have some here. The semi-gloss paint is the one that you want, not a matte surface, please. You don't get the foiling effect on a matte surface, but on the semi-gloss it works beautifully. And then add your powders with or without some wax, so that gives you those. Let me pop those out of the way. So for the next piece, I took this will work on acetate, but it will equally work on any form of glass. So what I've done is mix the Pentart pigment paste with the heavy glossy gel. Let me just take my mugshot out of there while I'm moving around. So for this technique, you need the pigment paste and the heavy body gel. Mix the two together, put it through a stencil, any stencil you've got. This is a Stamperia one, but it will work through any stencil. Let it dry, and then once it's dried, you end up with a glossy surface, and then you can simply take your powder. So this is the gecko green, which is actually a beautiful turquoise. Pick it up with your fingers, or if you want to be more clean with your working. A little eyeshadow applicator will work. These were as cheap as chips in a well-known high street chemist, though I have to say I did struggle to find them, because I think everyone has really moved to using brushes rather than the plastic ones, and then just give it a jolly good tap to get rid of the excess, and your piece will then show up. It's really quite difficult, isn't it? But over here you can definitely see the silver shining over there, but the green in real life is also working beautifully. So if I put it on that more solid piece there, you might actually see it better. There we are. And I've used no carrier to do that. I have literally just used my finger or a sponge applicator. Let's see if that works better. So yeah, you can see it at that point. Yeah. So thank you for the ladies who've just joined us. So that's Liz and Betty. So that was lovely. So as I say, you can use this on acetate, which means that you can add colour to pretty much any acrylic shape. I know Hobbycraft have got lots of different acrylic shapes that will stand on sale at the moment, and I'm sure other countries will have something similar in their craft stores or their cheaper outlets. And it will also work onto glass. Just make sure you clean the glass with something like an alcohol spray so there's no tackiness to it before you apply the coloured glossy gel. Let it dry, add your powder, and then if you take a soft cloth you can wipe off the excess quite easily. Hello Millie, thank you for joining us. It's a long time since we've actually talked. That's a really lovely surprise this morning. So you can use the glossy gel through a stencil and then very easily. But you can also use these products in alternative ways, and I certainly had at least one person contact me to say, really, is it safe? Can you do it? Is it the right thing to do? So this is a Stamperia Antonis stamp from a while ago, and I've used the Hobbycraft tacky glue, if I can find that, my tube, which I haven't got now. So the Pentart tacky glue to do this with, and all I did was push it onto a piece of cut and dry foam, sponge it onto my stamp as normal, and then let the glue go clear, and then added my powders. Now it's really important, if you're going to do this, that you put your stamp straight into water, because if you don't, once the glue is dry, it's very, very difficult to shift. So have a pot of water by your side to do that with. I will show that in a minute, but I might use another product that's available in the UK, which is flitter glue, to do this. Excuse me. So again, the same sort of technique, more of the Stamperia plates, but you can see just how you can take any stamp and you get a completely beautiful foiled effect using the different colours that are available to us. Hello Chris for joining. Hello Karen. Is that cold or warm water? Lukewarm water. You don't want it too hot, but it does help to have a little bit of warmth to it. Karen, so and a good squirt of cheap dishwasher liquid also is a good idea. What you just don't want to do is let it dry on the stamp. When you fish your stamp out of the water, have an old toothbrush around and just rub that over the stamp to get everything out of the nooks and the crannies. So these are stamped images with a lot of detail. Again, they're stamped with the tacky glue, and again there is a real shimmer to these, and in real life I've ombreed the colours, but it is, as I say, quite difficult to catch that in the light, in this beautiful sunlight. okay, that I've got today. So they work well on, they will work on white card. I personally prefer them on the black. I think you get a more pop of colour, but the choice is really yours. If you wanted something subtle in the background of a piece, then clearly that will work very well. Now then, what have I been up to here, you might ask? Well, we all like sky scenes, I think, don't we? And splatters. So I've used, I actually, for this piece, just watered down some of the Pentart tacky glue. Here I've sponged some of the glue and then dabbed the powders over, so you get a sort of a constellation or a halo effect. And over here it's literally just the powder rubbed over the top of splatters, so you get this really vibrant midnight sky effect, which I think would look lovely actually onto a dark blue pounded dark blue painted background. And see, I have no idea whether they'll work over distress inks, but if you give me 30 seconds I can find and see A, whether they will resist, and B, whether what will happen if we try to go over an image. So this is a stenciled piece, so let me just grab some cut and dry. So this is, I've just picked up some green distress oxide. So will they resist? So let me see. So that's the green over the top of that, and she says throwing pieces all around the floor. I think with the distress oxides it's covered over. You can still see a shine in real life, but I think it would be difficult. And if we just chose an ordinary distress ink, the answer is yes, they do resist them, because that, you can clearly see that one through. So I hope that answers your question. So with the distress oxides it does, but the pigment part of the dye part of the oxide has tended to sit more on the surface. With the old-fashioned distress inks, then it does resist it, and you can have a coloured background or add it before or after. If you're going to add it before you then add the powders on top, you really need it to be absolutely bone dry, and I would suggest that you ink your background, use an anti-static pad or dust some baby powder of some description over it, so that you do have a completely dry surface, because they will stick onto to white if you're not, anything that's a bit damp if you're not careful. Okay. So what these two pieces were just used to demonstrate that you can foil through any stencil. So gone are the days where you need to have an expensive foiling machine, although be my guest if that's what you want to go to. But here I've literally, one of these was done on the Pentart metal leaf glue, again just dabbed through on a piece of cut and dry smooth. Left to dry, and then here I've used a mixture of chrome, rose gold, ruby and gold, so the warmer colours and the metallics in the spectrum. And you can see how beautiful that is, and that would make a lovely background to build upon. And then we've got the cooler tones here as well. So we've got the gecko green, the green goddess, again some silver, and again mixed with some gold, which I know isn't a cool tone, but I just love the effect. And where you add them, you can ombre the colour. So if you haven't got a complete coverage of one of the powders, you can then on the surface mix, and if you want to colour mix for yourself, then just lift a little bit of each powder out and put it into place. Mix it together in a pot or at the side, and then use that. So although there's a limited range of colours for the products, actually they work really, really well. So that's what some of the things that I was actually up to. So should we actually have a play now? As I say, I really wanted this to go through some of the techniques rather than to do a project. Now all of these colours were available on Create and Craft the other day, so they may still be there, or on the brand website, because they were brought in for the show. So we're in the UK, so it may well be that you can still add them to your basket. So these are the colours that we've got. Let me just pop these out the way. She says, having put them neatly out the way. So we've got two different types of powders here. We've got some chameleon powders which change colour on white and black, which is lovely, and we've got ordinary powders as well. So it depends on what look you're going for. The chameleon powders give a beautiful pearlized finish on white paper or white backdrop, so it's worth thinking about what you're doing, but they're much more vibrant when they're on a black background. So to demonstrate, this is just one of my plastic pieces. You can see how easy it comes off. It's a cheap piece of plastic. Now I know with the dipping paint, actually you need some form of carrier medium to help make it stick. So you're not making your own wax, but you are making your own wax. So, you know, gone are the days of having to have a pot of every single wax on the market if that's what you want to do. You know, we've got some leaves, so let me pick up some of the dragon eye and literally just brush it on with my fingers. And it's definitely a question of less is more when it comes to using the wax. So we've now taken our leaves, which were like this, dunked in black, and then added the chrome powders for them, and I think these would then make beautiful embellishments for a card. Thank you, Anita. The colours are absolutely stunning, and as I say, you are not restricted just because the Pentart have given us, you know, a gorgeous range of colours. These colour blend and mix really well, and there is, I posted on my page a while ago a picture from one of the design team's lives a few weeks ago, a colour mixing card with all of the different, you know, a whole collection of different options mixed one to one. But in effect, you've got a red, you've got a blue, and the gold is your yellow. So you've got all your primary colours, so you can pretty much make any colour that you want. We haven't got a white, but the silver will work just as well for that. So this is the chrome powders on the dipping paint. Makes it great for adding to or changing the colour of surfaces that would otherwise be quite difficult to change the colour of. So there we are. So what happens, I've got, now this will be really difficult to see, let me see, there we are. So I've got Stamperia Fluid Gloss dried onto here, and glossy accents, which you can control really well, from very big smudges down to tiny smudges. So let's see what happens with that. And I'm going to, instead of colour mixing, I'm going to just add my powders. So I think these might have, and if it's not working so well for you, just add a little bit of the wax and add them over the top and carry on. These have not, that's not dried particularly smooth, nor has this one, but it's a, you know, it's really up to you how you do it. There we are. So it's simple as pick it up, put it down. I can see that I've got a dent in the middle of that, so you can see I've got. And you think, well, that's a mess because you've got everything over everything. And that would be true. I have got everything over everything. But actually, if you then just take a damp cloth give it a brush. And you can see where your anti-static pad would be really helpful, can't you? And there you have your dots foiled happily. So that's there. So this is the 3D decor pen, which gives you a raised surface. So let's have a little play with this. So I've got the red here. That's been in contact with papers. I do apologise for that. But you can, where you've not been in contact with other things and you've got a glossy surface, you can absolutely, yeah. So if you're wanting to have rings and halos, you can do. Shall we try the brass on these? And of course, with it being a pen, you've got control over the shapes that you do. There we are, and that is the beautiful chrome brass colour, which is a gorgeous orange. And that's that over there. So from there, Claire, the answer to any clear wax is yes. Any clear wax will work. I've clearly got a Pentart clear wax, but I've also you could use cheap and cheerful hair wax, and you can even use neutral shoe polish, and you can tell how long I've had this because it's falling apart inside. So yes, any clear wax will work quite happily. It does need to be hair wax, not hair gel though. Okay, let me clear that out of the way. So you're going to have to excuse my dodgy stenciling here, but that is just the glossy gel through my stencil, and I'm going to pick up the chameleon colours. So that's not helpful because I've mixed them up. So that one is Scarabaeus. So Scarabaeus is this beautiful greeny gold when it's applied. Okay, so that's Scarabaeus. Now we've got Rainforest. Let me see if I can get that one to stick to something. There we are. Which is a bluey green. And just carry on adding your layers. It does help if you've got a smooth surface because they work better on that. We'll swap to a clean one. We've got Midnight Ocean over here, and you can see that that's a beautiful blue colour. And finally we have Fire Gold, which will work better over on that one. There we are. And if you then take a mop brush like this and just give it a little wriggle, it'll take off the excess, and you get a very delicate effect with the chameleon powders, but they really do shine and glimmer, so they're worth playing with. And the other thing that you can do with the chameleon colours is dust them into any of your moulds and then pour in black tinted clear resin, and then you'll get the beautiful iridescence showing through really, really nicely. So what else did I have lurking in my stash that I thought, that's worth a play with? Well, I had a contour pen, so I added some dots here and then I foiled on top of them. So you now can accent any of your papers that you want to highlight different areas by literally picking up and adding your colours, and it really is that simple to do that. So it's an easy technique to do. Don't want to accent your papers, just want some pretty swirls, then again you can quite happily do dots, squirrels, dashes, lines, you name it. So we've got some dots there. We've got, let's pick a, you can tell I like that blue, can't you? Some blue, so let's move that over there. This is the king blue, which is completely different. We've got the rose gold coming over here. The rose gold is a beautiful, beautiful shade. What have I not used? I think I've probably pretty much used something of everything, maybe not the magenta, so let me do my magenta onto there. And they, you know, so look in your stash, look at what will give you a soft, you know, a shiny surface, and then just use that to you know, as a base. They need something to stick to, but here we are again, we've got them all added to our card, and you can see them shimmering. The colours are quite vibrant in real life, ladies, so, and Anthony. Okay, so what have we got here? This one is a splatter of pouring glaze. If you're going to make a project that's going to get a lot of handling, then it's absolutely worth sealing your project with some of the pouring glaze, but for most things it's not going to matter. So I've got dry splatters, there we are, you can see them glistening, of pouring glaze. Let's see if I can get this to work, because it certainly worked really well on the fresh, yeah, when I'd freshly done it. I have to confess, I have ended up with some of this having splatters of concrete powder on it, so they will, you know, it will add. I personally think the effect is better if you use the tacky glue, but and the pouring glaze is actually really resisting the you know, the powders, rather than actually attaching it to it. So again, another use, using something as a resist to colour your background. So let's pop that over there. But with, as I say, with diluted tacky glue, it works really, really well. So I've got just one more thing I'm going to do live, because I think it's quite helpful, and because people asked them. Guess what? Did I pick up my first time? Did I? So let me just pick up some of my bits and pieces. So we're going to take a piece of cut and dry foam. You just need something as a carrier at this point. So chop a piece of that. And this is my tacky glue. And as I say, I think it will work just as well with the flitter glue, so we'll do that in a minute live. I haven't tried it, but I'm sure it will work. But there we are. So tacky glue onto cut and dry, and just squidge it in so that you've got a layer in there. You don't need a huge amount. I've got a Klimt stamp here. You can see it goes on, well, I can see it's going on here, white. So there we are. So we will just pop that over there, give it a good squash, take that off, and I have a bowl of water behind me, and that's really important. So I'm going to give that a little minute to settle down. So whilst we're doing that, we'll just show you the effects with the other products that I think many of the UK will have around. And excuse me, ladies, for the state of my flitter glue, because I've had it an awful long time, and as is the want, it's now complete. There we are. So I'm just going to pop a squidge of flitter glue onto my cut and dry, push it in. I'll pick up another stamp just because it's easier to dunk them straight into water. Stamping's not my forte, it has to be said. Hello Agnieszka, thank you for joining us. I hope you're well. So there we are. So that's that one stamped, and that can go into there. And finally, I've got some metal leaf glue. Now if you dunk your cut and dries into your bowl of water as well, then you can reuse these, so it's not as extravagant as you might think, with me just quite happy chopping a new piece each time. Just throw it into a pot of water and let it soak, and that will work for you quite nicely. So pop that in. You want a thin coat, preferably not going over the edges, like this. So we'll pop that onto there, and then we've got all of them. Hello Alison. Yes darling, I am very, very well. I'm happily enjoying retirement and enjoying my crafty life. So there we are. Oops, she says dropping that. So we have tacky glue, flitter glue, and a metal leaf glue. Now I can see that actually the tacky glue has already gone completely clear, so if I just add that, you can see how well that is picking up those colours. So I've used the silver at this end, the gold and the rose gold here, and it really works absolutely beautifully. And on this it doesn't go it isn't tacky afterwards, so don't worry about that. I would suggest that you don't try putting it onto red liner tape and thinking I can get a nice straight line, because believe me, I did that for the show and it stays tacky. So it's not so easy, you know, it isn't I don't know why it doesn't cover enough to make it not tacky, but it doesn't. So there we are. So that is the flitter glue working beautifully with the red and the chrome. And my third one, which was the metal leaf glue, is now dry. So let's go with the other colours. So that is the blue, that is the gecko green mixed with the blue, that is the dragon's eye. What haven't I used? Let's change that to something else. Silver gold, rose gold, red. I think it's the magenta. So there we are. And then literally wipe off the excess. So there we are. So they work beautifully on those glues. As I say, the really important thing is to get your stamps straight into water. Do not be tempted to think, oh, I can add the powders and walk away from them. That really won't work. You do need to get it completely straight into water. And you can do the same thing through a stencil using the same products, and you'll get the same sort of result. So any stencil you can add either the heavy body glossy gel through, or add one of the sticky glues, and then you can convert that into a foiled stencil base, and equally onto use them with any stamped image. So Agnieszka, yes, I'd have used them. You need to use them on the glossy gel rather than on the matte gel. So hang on a minute, let me grab the glossy gel, which I've thrown on the floor. So this is just the stencil I had on the show, with glossy gel through it. There we are. No, we don't have pink and vibrant leaves, but there we are. So that is literally onto glossy gel, and as I say, you can put the glossy gel onto glass but you need to tint it black for it to really work, and you want it as smooth a surface as possible. So again, they really do work very well on those. You just wipe off the excess, and there we are. So you're left with your foiled image. They really absolutely are like magic. So I think that for a product that is not so very expensive, which appears to have a limited range of colours, the answer is that the colours are infinite, because you colour mix them either on your project or off the project and make a small quantity. But they also will work really well for, you know, lots of other things. So on your dipping paint to make Christmas ornaments. This one's ombre the silver into the blue. Easter ornaments. This is a rose gold bunny that was part. You can imagine it on any of your Easter ornaments long term. So I think that it would really work wonderfully well across lots of mediums. And as I say, if you think about what you might have in your stash, you know, things that you have lying around, your hobby glue, your glossy accents, you know, all of these products will work very well with them. So, and if you want a glaze, you literally just mix it into your pouring glaze and put it, wow. So I think that it very much depends on what you're wanting to do. I think, Claire, you're right, they do show up beautifully on the ornaments, but I don't want people to think it's only going to be a product that they're going to get out to use at Christmas or Easter, because it will work on, you know, just about anything that you have, and convert, as I say, stencils to foiled images, stamps to foiled effect images. You know, you can colour metal embellishments by dipping them in the dipping paint, plastic, which is notoriously difficult to change the colour of, by dipping it in the dipping paint and adding the colours. So that was my intention for today, was to really go through how versatile these products are. Let me just flick myself back into screen so that you can see my ugly mug, and if anyone has any questions, if you could just pop them into the comments. If we don't get any, that's fine. I'll assume that I've exhausted everyone, and I'll just wait to, you know, because I'm aware that there's a little bit of a lag, isn't there, with Facebook and the streaming. But if you know, if there are questions, then I'd quite like to answer them. But having said that, you can always put a comment on at the end of the live, and I can answer them later on if that is you know, suits people better. So thank you, ladies, for joining me, and Anthony. Of course, I'm very conscious I have a male person watching, which is lovely, because Anthony is an avid crafter, as we all know, and super talented. I'm going to sign off now, and wish you all have a completely safe day. So bye for now. It's okay, don't look at you without meaning to sound rude, but we are crafters and your stash is more interesting. Yeah, okay, I get that. I do have an awful lot of stash, but then I'm a jewellery maker, mixed media, card maker, you name it, I do it. So thank you very much for joining me, everyone, and I hope, well, the two things more to say before I go. The first is that Pentart have another live in English, an official live in English this evening at, I think it's 5 o'clock our time, on the Pentart page, and that is with Denise Williams. And then I am doing my first Facebook live for Pentart next Wednesday at 6 o'clock in the evening, and if the times don't suit, then of course they are available for everyone to watch after you know, at any stage, because they'll be on the Pentart page, things. So Claire, what about doing the velvet powders? Now, funnily, you should think about, let's say that I'm toying, and please don't hold me to this. I am contemplating doing a Fridays with Jill regular live at around this time. If I'm away from the weekend, that will go out of the window. But I'm thinking that it might be helpful. So I know I took the velvet powders onto Create and Craft last month, along with the cracking paint system. So I might well do either next week or maybe the following week, because next week's a bit chaotic, alive with those. So I will get my head together around doing that, and I'll put a message up on my page so that you know if I am definitely going to do it. But how does the idea of Fridays with Jill at 10 o'clock sound as a semi-regular slot? You can make your comments later on. So stay safe, have a good day, and see you at some point online. Bye. There we are.